Hey there, welcome back to Midlife and Glowing. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Nicole. And since today is Giving Tuesday, we wanted to dedicate today's episode to something that feels really aligned with this season and with everything we talk about here, the power of giving.
Yes, this is one of those topics that really hits home, especially in midlife. It's so easy to get caught up in our day-to-day, family, work, responsibilities, and we forget that one of the greatest sources of joy, purpose, and even health comes from giving.
Giving Tuesday started back in 2012 as a global movement to encourage generosity, not just donations, but giving your time, your energy, your presence. And that really fits what we talk about so often, living intentionally from a place of purpose and overflow.
Okay, so let's start here. Why does giving matter so much in this season of life?
Midlife is this incredible and sometimes complicated chapter. It's a time when we start asking deeper questions. What do I want my life to stand for? What kind of impact am I making? And giving, in whatever form, helps us reconnect with that sense of meaning and contribution.
Yes, and I think a lot of women listening probably feel that tug. The kids are getting older, maybe you're transitioning careers, or you're just craving something deeper. Giving gives us that. It's how we shift from achievement to fulfillment.
Yeah, and it's not just emotional. There's a whole body of research showing that generosity actually changes your biology. Studies show that acts of kindness activate the same reward centers in the brain that light up when you experience joy or love, specifically the ventral striatum and the medial prefrontal cortex.
And it's good for your heart too. A 2013 study in health psychology found that people who regularly volunteered had lower blood pressure and longer lifespans. And another in psychological science found that even thinking about giving can trigger a dopamine and oxytocin response, the same chemicals that lower stress and boost happiness.
It's the perfect example of what we mean when we say the body, mind, and spirit are connected. Giving isn't just good for the soul, it's medicine for your body.
And I think this quote by Picasso really fits well into this conversation. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away.
I love that one. Let's talk about this from an energetic standpoint too, because giving is one of the highest vibrational frequencies we can operate in. It's right up there with gratitude and love.
Yes, and when you think about it, giving and gratitude are really two sides of the same coin. When you give, you're expressing abundance. You're saying, I have enough to share, and that instantly raises your own energy.
That is so true about giving and gratitude being two sides of the same coin. Gratitude is literally the reason I started donating to Tunnel to Towers, that organization. I saw one of their commercials and was like, oh my gosh, okay, $11 a month is the least I can do to show my gratitude to the servicemen and women that protect our country and, just give of themselves so freely to protect our freedoms. So I'm so grateful for what they do. And that was really the driver for choosing to give to that organization. When you give from a place of joy and gratitude, not obligation, it amplifies that energy in your body and in the world around you. There's even research from the HeartMath Institute showing that emotions like love, care, and appreciation create measurable coherence in your heart's electromagnetic field.
That's amazing. So when you talk about raising your vibration, this is it in real life. Your energy affects the energy of the people around you.
Right? Giving isn't just something you do, it's something you emit. Here's a great example of how it can raise someone's vibration. When I was reading the book Signs, my cousin randomly sent me a Monarch Grow Kit at a time when I was in a more emotional state and in a place of grieving and was kind of seeking signs. And her act of giving came at just the right time to lift me up. And a few weeks later, I then sent her a deck of Bible affirmation cards. And she said in her message that came at a time when she really needed it. So, the things that you do for someone, whether they're little or big, can have a really significant impact on someone else's vibration, frequency, energy, just how they feel. And that can make a big difference for them.
Yes, definitely. And that leads us into the next point, that giving has this beautiful ripple effect. You never know how one small act of kindness will travel.
There's research that backs this up too. Studies show that when people witness an act of kindness, their own oxytocin levels rise. It's called moral elevation. Basically, generosity is contagious.
And it can be a simple act like buying the person behind you in line a coffee or sending a friend a random thinking of you text. Those things stick with people. They shift the tone of the day, not just for you, but for everyone that energy touches.
And you never know what someone's carrying. A small gesture might be the thing that restores someone's hope or makes them feel seen.
And that's what I love about this topic. It's not about how much you give, it's about the intention behind it.
Okay, so let's get practical for a minute, because giving doesn't have to be complicated. It can fit naturally into your life.
Start with your time and energy. Call a friend who's going through something. Offer to help a neighbor. Listen without distraction. Those kinds of gifts don't cost anything, but they matter so much.
Volunteer somewhere that lights you up. A women's shelter, an animal rescue, a local food pantry. Studies show volunteering just 2 hours a week can lower depression and boost life satisfaction.
And if you're able to give financially, look for causes that align with your heart. Even small recurring donations add up.
And it doesn't have to be financial. Even donating blood is a great way to give. You literally could save someone's life. And then give through connection. Invite someone new to coffee. Compliment a stranger. Smile at the person behind the counter. Connection is giving, and it changes both people.
It honestly is the easiest way to bring light into the world, one small act at a time.
So let's take a quick little science detour, because this is where it gets fascinating. There's a 2017 study in Nature Communications that showed just thinking about giving activated the mesolimbic reward system in the brain. That's your brain's joy center.
So even the intention to give starts a positive chemical chain reaction?
Yeah, exactly. It raises dopamine, lowers inflammation, and strengthens your immune system. There's even evidence that generosity helps regulate blood pressure and boosts lifespan.
That's wild. Giving literally helps you live longer.
Yeah, it's like nature's built-in reward system for compassion.
Okay, so let's bring this home. For a lot of midlife women, giving can start to feel heavy, like one more thing to do, especially if you spent years taking care of everyone else.
And that's such an important distinction. There's a difference between overgiving from depletion and giving from abundance. When you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, it leads to burnout. But when you give from a full heart, it replenishes you.
Exactly. Giving should feel energizing, not exhausting. So if you're listening and you're in a season where you feel drained, your job right now is to fill your own cup first. And then let your overflow be what you share.
When you're aligned, your giving becomes more powerful because it's backed by presence and intention and doesn't feel like a chore or something else you have to do.
You know, growing up, this was modeled to us daily. Our dad was someone that would give you the shirt off his back. You know, you always said that. Like when we described our dad, he would give the shirt off your back. You know, if someone was on the side of the road, flat tire or something, he would always stop. If somebody was in the ditch, he would pull them out. And I know you're not supposed to anymore, but you know, back in the day, you were able to help people more without it being nefarious or like, oh, is this a creeper, whatever. So he was, and he didn't stop though. Like he still would always pull over if somebody was on the side of the road. If somebody was in need, he modeled that daily. And he was very humble about it. So both of our brothers wrestled, but I believe this was one of our brothers' teammate that he wrestled with that didn't have the proper gear. He couldn't afford it. And they went and got him the gear, but he told our brother just to put it in his locker. He didn't want to be recognized for that. It was just something that he felt good about doing and would do it. You know, he didn't want the plaque. He didn't want, you know, all of that recognition or attention on him. In fact, he didn't like attention.
Yeah. His response, if you ever thanked him for something that he did for you, his response was always just thank the good Lord we could do it. It was like he wasn't taking all of the credit for it. He was giving the credit away even.
Yes.
So in that he was still in the spirit of giving in that regard. Yeah, you mentioned he'd, you know, take people out of the ditch and stuff. There were several times growing up where my friends ended up needing his help. And I remember one time it was a winter and it was like the middle of the night. And he came, he pulled my friend out of the ditch and no complaints, no nothing about it. It was like, you know, the attitude that he had when he did that kind of stuff was always joyful. Like, you know,
he's happy to help. Like genuinely happy to help.
Yeah. And you would think in a situation like that, you know, you're woken up in the middle of the night in the winter. I mean, in the winter especially, you just want to like hibernate. I don't know. I wouldn't be super grateful for someone getting me out of bed in winter to go pull him out of the ditch. But he had the best attitude and definitely was, had that giving with a open heart or a full heart.
In a sincere way. Like he did not make you feel guilty for needing the help or, anything like that. I had a friend that told me, when your dad asks me how I'm doing, he genuinely wants to know, because that's something that you are like, oh, hey, how you doing? And you're kind of like, don't even listen to the person's answer. I think a lot of us are guilty of that.
Yeah.
But she said he genuinely wants to know. And, and it kind of made me think like, that's something that people notice.
Yeah. And that is a gift. Yes. What a gift, like talking about giving, like that is a gift, giving someone your undivided attention and your care, like actually caring what they have to say, caring what the response is.
Right.
Sorry, friends, if you can hear like construction, our neighbors are putting an addition on their house, so there might be some extra noises in this episode.
Keeping it real here.
That's right.
Construction and outside noises do happen. You might hear some noises in my background too. I got my kids are home for lunch, so that's just what happens.
Yeah, here's another example of how much giving meant to Dad. I truly believe that he held on to his ability to speak until he had certain things that he wanted to give to certain people before he passed away. And there was a day where some of the extended family got to come over and everything, and he made sure he got the things that he wanted to give to them. After that day, he no longer was verbal. And I could see how important that was to him. And I think that kept him hanging on to that ability to do that until he was able to give those things to the people that he wanted to.
Yeah, I agree. Another example I just am thinking of now is, when your kids are in sporting activities, there's always a fundraiser going on. There's always a need for raising money. It can get quite frustrating and annoying as parents of the athletes, because it's like you pay so much to have your kids participate, and then you're constantly fundraising like, oh, buy this, buy that. And it gets a little awkward, I would say.
Yeah.
But one year they were making a big push to pay off something. It was during the hockey season, and my kids were playing high school hockey, and they were trying to get rid of like the locker room debt or something. So they had like $5,000 they needed to raise. And, we were talking to Dad about it, and he's like, let me see what I can do. Because we're, like all a little frustrated, like, I feel like we were just, we had sold cookies already, and now we have to, raise cash. And it just he's like, let me see what I can do. So, he called me later. He's like, I spoke to, several friends, and they're willing to donate, X amount to the cause. And he's like, and Dad donated also. And he's like, and I don't want anyone to know that I donated or that I was behind getting these other donations. But all I ask is that after you get the donation, a handful of the hockey team goes into these businesses, go in and see these folks that donated and shake their hand, look them in the eye and tell them how grateful and thankful that you are, that they helped fundraise the money that they needed. So, he didn't want anyone to acknowledge that he had donated, but he wanted to make sure that the donations that he did gather, that they got recognition. So that was a good lesson too for those young kids to see, like this person donated to you. They care enough about, someone on the team or, whatever it is.
I love this story.
Yeah, so it was really neat. And the hockey manager, she's a mom, absolutely amazing. Like that is another person that is so generous with her time and energy. And, when you're with her, you think, gosh, how can I give more? Like she's that type of person. Yeah. She's amazing. But she took it one step further and had like I think it was like a plaque with like the team picture on it to like really go above and beyond and tell them how grateful that we were for their donations. So that was really,
I love that.
Really such a cool lesson too for the boys, as I said. And, you know, and I felt like really good about that too, you know, and like these kids, you know, and I think our point in bringing these up is just to give examples, and it doesn't always have to be financial. And
or big, right? Or big.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, like nowadays, it's a little bit more scary to pull over on the side of the road for somebody.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I've done is I'll kind of pull over, not really close, but just have my window half down and say, hey, I probably can't help you with anything with your vehicle, but I can call someone if you need, you know, and just kind of do it that way.
Right.
But now you definitely have to be more careful, for sure. But in today's world, I think we need more Johns in the world.
I agree, 1,000%. It makes a difference. It really does. And it's contagious. It feels good. And like we brought up in this episode, even just witnessing someone doing that act of kindness, like you said, it made you feel good to, you know, witness all of that happen. And I think probably on both sides, on dad's, you know, generosity, and then also from the standpoint of the team manager, making sure that gratitude, you know, was given and expressed too. It makes a difference. It affects so many people. It really does have that ripple effect.
Absolutely. And, you know, another thing that I was just thinking about, actually, Dad was an avid woodworker. That was a passion of his. He loved woodworking, especially turning. So like making bowls or urns or, you know, whatever it was. He loved turning. He loved spending time in his workshop. You know, it was something growing up that he, you know, if he had some spare time, he'd go up there, but he always had us come up there with him too, you know, so he'd teach us. And, you know, we were probably more work than not, but he made sure that he shared his love and passion with us. And, you know, as we all had gotten out of the house, you know, we all moved out, he actually took on, so there's I think probably most cities have them, STEM schools. So that it's not like traditional school, it's more of like a hands-on school learning environment. They had, I don't even know how the connection had been made. Dad was retired at that time, and they reached out to see if he would be willing to let some of the students come up to his workshop and learn from him. Yeah. So he did. He had some of those students come to his workshop. He'd teach them. He'd spend time with them, share his patience, share his passion. And that really meant a lot to those kids. And it meant a lot to him.
Yeah, right.
And that's just an example of sharing your creativity. It doesn't need to cost anything.
Your expertise, your knowledge, your passions. And those are the things, your passions, you know, those are fun to share. He totally enjoyed sharing anything that he was excited about. And I think that's a really great way to give, because that truly is like, you know, that example of giving from your overflow, giving from a really aligned place. When you're really passionate about something, you want to share it. And yeah, that's a beautiful thing. I love it.
It really is.
And another way that we use the spirit of giving and we honor him is Mom actually, after he passed, she had the idea of every Christmas giving to some organization or individual or somebody that needed it in his honor, to honor his legacy and the spirit of giving that he had. And she wanted to do that. And each year, one of us kids chooses who that donation goes to. So that's kind of another way that we use the spirit of giving and also honor Dad and keep him as part of our family holiday tradition, and also use it as a way to do something that he was always doing.
You know, he was also someone that was always willing to lend you a tool, you know, anything that he had. He didn't give things a lot of, you know, time and importance. You know, they were just things. They weren't something that he was, you know, like tied to. So if you need a tool, and if I never got it back, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
But, you know, he definitely held people in the utmost importance, not things.
Another really great example of someone that really lived by the principle of giving was Mother Teresa, right? And one of the things that she taught was that generosity is measured not by the size of the gift, but by the love with which it is given.
Love that.
She said, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And I think that's, a really great point too that we've touched on is it doesn't have to be this massive, financial thing or a really humongous gesture. Even just smiling at someone that looks like they could use a smile is a really great example of a small thing that, with great love that makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm. What is that saying? Is it Dolly Parton? Something about give them your smile?
Oh, yeah. Dolly Parton said, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours.
I love that.
I love her. I mean, she's just, she's another one with just what a positive, wonderful person.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we're talking about positive, wonderful people, Betty White, I think we were just talking about her the other day. Like, oh my gosh, Spitfire, just love her.
Such a great sense of humor. Mm-hmm. So witty.
Yes, and smiles for days. So as we wrap this up, Giving Tuesday is one day, but generosity really is a way of life.
And as we've said, it doesn't have to look big or fancy. The smallest acts matter. It could be donating to a cause, sharing your time, or just spreading kindness in your everyday life.
And if you want to take part in the Giving Tuesday movement, check out givingtuesday.org. There are tons of ideas for ways to give back into your community.
And let's leave you with this reminder from Winston Churchill. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give.
This week, we challenge you to do one intentional act of giving, big or small, and notice how it changes your energy, your mood, and your connection for the world around you.
And if you want to share it with us, drop us a message on TikTok or YouTube at Midlife and Glowing. We'd love to celebrate that ripple effect with you.
Because when women give from a place of joy, the world glows a little brighter.
We'll see you next week. And until then, keep glowing and keep giving.